In 1910, Korea was colonized by Japan. The brutal occupation ended more than 1,000 years of Korea's reign as a sovereign nation and was a major source of shame. Japan lost Korea in World War II, and the country was split between the American-backed South and the Russian-backed Communist North, led by a young rebel named Kim Il-sung. In 1950, Kim Il-sung invaded the South to unify the country, and the U.S. opposed communist expansion at all costs. As many as 4 million people died in the Korean War, which included some of the most brutal warfare the world has known. In a 4-month period alone, the U.S. dropped nearly 1 million gallons of napalm. 18 of 22 major cities in North Korea were at least half obliterated. In 1953, after 3 years of fighting, Korea remained divided in almost exactly the same place as it had been before the war began, the 38th parallel. While most people think the war ended more than 50 years ago, there never was a peace treaty. And more than 19,000 days later, the very, very long ceasefire continues today. The Joint Security Area on the border of South Korea is the one place where North Korean forces stand toe-to-toe with the rest of the world. On one side of this concrete marker is North Korea. On the other, the joint American-South Korean forces. Every flinch is monitored. Neither side wants to blink, and nobody has for more than 50 years. In this unique area, each side shows its best face. The North puts only well-fed top officers here, and the South stacks their side with men who are at least 1.77 meters or taller. But only one side is worried that their soldiers might want to defect across the divide.
You can see on the North Korean side how they're set up. They have 2 soldiers watching each other, so neither of them defect. And then they have their leader to the north, making sure that no one else from the north will come down and defect.
On the DMZ, everyone is considered the enemy.
Defector Ju Sung-il was a North Korean officer.
Whether you're a North Korean resident, a soldier, or South Korean defector, we had to kill without question.
With everyone watching, no one can cross here. And defecting anywhere else along the DMZ is nearly impossible. The DMZ, or Demilitarized Zone, is a 4-kilometer wide buffer that runs 238 kilometers along the border of North and South Korea. With more than 1 million landmines, high-voltage electric fences, and nearly 2 million soldiers, crossing over is almost certain suicide. Above ground, the DMZ is an almost impenetrable divide. But below ground, the North has secretly dug at least 4 invasion tunnels into the South. Carved through solid bedrock, the tunnels are wide enough to allow 10,000 North Korean soldiers an hour to sneak behind enemy lines. Some are even big enough to drive a tank through. These tunnels were discovered before they were completed, but military officials think there may be as many as 16 more scattered elsewhere along the DMZ. The DMZ helps North Korea keep its own citizens inside the country and cut off from the rest of the world. She's very blind, isn't she?